Hi, I'm Robert Loftur-Thun, Interim Executive Director of the Northern Virginia Resource Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Persons, and we're a nonprofit organization that was founded in 1988 by leaders in the deaf and hard of hearing communities, and we provide services to those communities, and our mission is really to empower deaf and hard of hearing individuals and their families through education, advocacy, and community involvement. So we're here today to look at a very important part of our program, and that is outreach for hearing assistive technologies. So we hope you find this interesting, and we'll take a tour of the facility and see the equipment and talk to a very important staff person. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with Debbie Jones, our Resource and Technology Specialist. Hey, Debbie.
Hi.
And we're here in front of the Cheryl Hepner Technology Room. Cheryl was a beloved Executive Director here at NVRC for 24 years. And we've named the Technology Room after her. And so why don't we go inside and take a look at what we have in regards to technology.
Okay, come on in.
Sounds great. So here we are at the first stop. You've been with NVRC for 20 years, right?
A little bit longer, but I've been working with the technology for 20 years.
Wow. So you've seen a lot of changes in regards to technology, right?
Yes, there have.
Yeah, the whole transition from analog to digital, and
right.
so yeah,
a lot
so
of
many
improvements.
changes. Yes, yeah. I mean, it really has had a lot of impact on people's lives, so that's great. Okay. Well, why don't we get started? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
There are devices like this, which can be added to a hardline phone that just allows you to adjust the volume.
Ah, okay.
So if you just need that little bit of boost,
Right.
you can adjust the volume and adjust the tone to make things a little more clear.
Yeah.
It can be that first step
Yeah.
before needing something more powerful. There are also telephones that will dial in case of an emergency for you.
Nice.
So
Okay.
you program these phones with a list of your friends and family, folks that
Okay.
you trust,
Right.
and you pre-record a message.
Right.
Basically says, if you're hearing this message, I need help. Please come check on me.
Great.
And then you wear your emergency button.
Ah, okay.
And if you fall, if you
Right.
need help of some sort, you press the button and the telephone starts dialing that memory list. And
That
when
is
it
very
gets
helpful.
when it gets a live person, it plays that message that you recorded. There's also amplified cordless telephones.
Ah, okay.
This is one of the technology improvements that has happened in the past couple years. Because, of course, with a cordless, you've got a handset transmitting between a base.
Right. Right.
That's an opportunity for interference, which can affect the sound quality.
Ah, okay.
So
Sure.
the technology in the cordless amplified phones have improved a lot to cut down on that interference.
Ah,
So you get a much better sound. Again, you're going to have your volume control
Right.
and then your tone control. That tone control can help you clarify the sound. So then we come to hardline phones.
Okay.
These are always going to give you the best sound quality, obviously,
Right.
because you've got the wire connection all the way through.
Right.
But again, you've got your volume control. And on this one, tone control is on the side. On this model, before you adjust the volume, you hit your amplify button so that that turns the boost on. Because many times, people with hearing loss,
Right.
they don't live by themselves. They live with other family members quite often, and everybody can use one phone. And then the amplifier is only activated for those family members who need to use it. So that's part of universal design. So if it works for someone with hearing loss, it's also helpful for someone who has a vision issue. If you've tried amplified phones and gotten to the loudest boost that's available and it's still not helpful for you,
Okay.
maybe you need to take a look at a captioned phone.
Ah, okay.
So having a printout or a text printout of what the other person's saying to you.
Right.
That way you're not struggling to understand so much.
Right.
You can enjoy your conversation. So there are captioned phones that allow you to read what they're saying.
That's great.
And they have their built-in screens that come up. These are really helpful for folks who are actually mostly late deafened,
Okay.
hard of hearing as well, but who prefer to speak on the phone for themselves. The phone itself connects to a special captioning service.
Okay.
And there's a captioner there who listens to what the other person says to you
Okay.
and repeats it into a computer. That computer then types it up and sends it to the phone
I see.
so that you've got the captions.
Right. So it's an actual person who's typing in the captions.
They're not typing. They're using a computer with speech recognition.
Ah, okay.
But for accuracy,
Right.
that computer has been trained to the operator's voice.
I see. Okay. Great.
So what's nice about that is you don't ever interact with that captioner, with that operator.
Right.
They are only hearing what the other person says to you. And once both of you hang up, all of that information is gone from the operator's computer
Okay.
and cannot be retrieved.
Okay. That's very important for privacy, obviously.
Right. These are television listening devices. You hook them up to the audio out of your television set
Right. Okay.
so that you can have the TV set at a comfortable level for folks in the room,
Okay.
or even muted like we have it now.
Right.
But you can still adjust the volume to make it as loud as you need to.
Ah, okay. That's helpful.
And a lot of these are kind of stethoscope style, so
Right.
they're made for folks without hearing aids,
Okay.
or who don't want to wear hearing aids at night at home.
Okay.
So there's a couple different styles, and you
Great.
just need to turn that up.
Okay. That's very straightforward. Again, we have the volume and the tone, right?
Exactly. And of course, you can always use the captioning.
And speaking of captions, can you give us a little bit of history about the whole captioning movement? These are what, open captions, right?
No, actually, these are closed captions.
These are closed. Ah, right. Okay.
These are closed captions. So most TV broadcasting
Okay.
has a captioning signal embedded in it. But you need to activate the closed captioning chip on your television in order to see them.
Okay.
And most of the time, that's a button on the remote control now.
Right. That's what we have.
With older TVs, you actually have to go into the menu functions and
okay.
find closed captioning.
Right.
But that allows you to turn this on so that you can follow along by text.
Okay. And so these are closed captions, meaning it's closed usually, and then you can open them up when you need to. But then what are open captions then?
So programs that have open captions, you don't even need to have the closed captioning chip in there.
Okay.
They will simply show up much like subtitles on a foreign movie,
Right.
where they come up
Right.
with the English at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
So that's open captioning.
And I know that, for instance, there's is it Deaf Moviegoers of DC, right? That lists movies, recent movies that are out there that have open caption sessions. So people who are deaf can go to the movies and enjoy them with the captions open.
With open captions, right? And
Yeah.
so it would show up on the big movie screen, much
Right.
like this, with the captions across.
Right.
Now remember too that in the DC area, many of the movie theaters also offer closed captioning devices.
Ah, okay.
So you can get either a special screen that you sit in front of you that
Okay.
captions the movie,
Right.
or captioning glasses that you
okay.
wear,
Right.
and the captions come across the glasses in order for you to read along with the dialogue.
Interesting. So Debbie, it occurs to me, I mean, can anybody get these at regular retail electronics stores?
Sometimes you can find particularly like the TV ears or some of the other TV listening devices.
Right.
You can sometimes find them at Best Buy or Costco,
Okay.
but most of the time you're going to need to go through a specialty vendor,
I see.
a company that specializes in equipment for deaf and hard of hearing folks.
And those you could just probably Google and come up with those, or come to our website, I would imagine.
We do actually have a list
Okay.
that folks have given us feedback about. So we do have a list of companies, but certainly Google and internet searching is another way to do it. These are TTYs. It's also called a text telephone
Okay.
or a teletypewriter.
Okay.
Okay? These are devices that allow you to type over the telephone line instead of having to speak or listen.
Okay.
So the original TTYs were old decommissioned teletypes from the War Department.
Oh gosh.
And someone took those old machines, which were
right.
huge,
Right.
attached modems to them,
Right.
and gave them to folks in the deaf community to be able to communicate over the phone.
Wow. How many years back does that go? Quite
Well,
a few, I would imagine, decades,
That
right?
was after World War II, so
Yeah, quite a way.
that was a while ago. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
And of course, this was one of the first
Mm-hmm.
telephone devices that the deaf community was able to use to
Right.
communicate with family and friends. So a TTY in and of itself doesn't have an internal ringer, but they do build flashers in so that folks who can't hear know when their phone is ringing. And so this light here will flash when a telephone call comes in. Most of the deaf community doesn't use this anymore.
Right.
They've switched to video phones for the most part.
Right.
But these are still really useful for folks who have speech disabilities.
Okay.
So if they have had surgery or some other physical issue where their speech is not clear, they can use this to type over the telephone. These are signaling devices.
Okay.
So now you've got a telephone
Right.
that works for you.
Okay.
How do you know when it's ringing?
Good point.
How do you know when somebody's at the door?
Right.
So the signaling devices can help you with that.
Okay.
They can be as simple as a device that you add to your existing phone,
Okay.
like an amplified ringer. This is something that lets you change the tone. So
Right.
do you need the high chirpy sound?
Right.
Or do you need a low bullfroggy sound? You can also change the volume up or down.
Right.
So this is something that could just be added to your existing house telephone.
Okay. Simple but effective.
Right.
Okay. This looks a little more complex. Not complex, but a little more informative, maybe.
If just amplifying the sound doesn't help,
Okay.
maybe you need to look at doing something else. Maybe you need a flashing light.
Ah. Okay.
Maybe you need something that'll shake the bed to get your attention.
Right.
And this is a device that does both of those. Actually, it can do three.
Okay.
It can do light, sound, and vibration. So the bed shaker,
Right.
now depending on how deeply you sleep, you would put this, if you're a pretty light sleeper, you would put it under the mattress.
Okay.
And so then the whole mattress will
will-
shake.
Sure.
If you're a pretty heavy sleeper, you might want to put it in your pillowcase.
Oh gosh.
You put it in the pillowcase so
Right.
that it doesn't escape
Got
as
it.
it's jumping all over the
Right. Right.
trying to
Right.
wake you up.
Uh-huh.
And you're probably going to notice that vibration more being right here up
Sure.
against your face.
Makes sense. Yeah, that would get me up, I have to say.
And you may have noticed this flashing behind it.
Yes.
This
yes.
is a remote.
Ah, okay.
So this you could set up in the bedroom
Right.
next to the bed because
Okay.
this does have an alarm clock function.
Got it. Okay.
And then have one of the remotes out in the living room or down in the basement.
Okay.
Wherever you might need to get that alert.
Right. Right.
This one has an alarm clock built in,
Right.
but there's also a bunch of different alarm clocks out there
Ah, okay.
that can flash the lights, shake the bed. These also have a fairly loud alarm,
Okay.
and you can adjust the volume of the alarm.
Right.
Okay. There are now even alarm clocks that you can sync with your cell phone.
Ah, okay.
So many people use their cell phone to get up in the morning now.
Sure, I do.
And this is one that you can sync with your cell phone, set the alarm on the cell phone,
Right.
put this in your pillowcase,
Okay.
and it vibrates to wake you up in the morning.
Oh, that's great. Is that Bluetooth?
It uses your Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, I see.
This is an important category to know about
Okay.
because these are smoke detectors.
Yes.
Very important to have. There are devices like this with a built-in bed shaker that listen for your existing smoke detector. And when it detects that signal going off, it starts to shake, and then also has a very loud alarm.
That's great.
Now, you have to have one of the newer smoke detectors that has a pattern to it,
I see.
where it goes
Okay.
beep, 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 and then a
Right.
pause kind of
Right.
thing. That's the pattern that this looks for
Interesting.
in order to activate.
That's very powerful. Yeah.
Then there are ones like this that have the built-in strobe light. These have to be hardwired into your house's electrical system
Okay.
because that strobe light takes so much power
I see.
in order to be bright enough to meet the requirement,
Okay.
the legal requirement for a visual smoke detector. Very loud alarm, very bright light.
Right. Right.
And then there are ones that can incorporate a bed shaker because some people just don't respond to the light.
Right.
Maybe they also need the bed shaker to let them know that something's going on. And these are very important to have in your home.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Lifesavers.
That's
Potential
right.
Lifesavers. Yeah.
That's right. And did you know in the state of Virginia, it is written into the Code of Virginia that it's the landlord's responsibility to provide a visual smoke detector if you request one.
No, I didn't know that. That's very good to know.
So if you rent your home,
Right.
rent your apartment,
Okay.
you need to write a letter to your landlord explaining that someone in the home has a hearing loss
Right.
and you need a visual smoke detector.
Very good.
And it's their responsibility to provide one. So these can help you whether or not you have hearing aids. Some of them are specifically used with hearing aids,
Okay.
some can be used with or without. These are tabletop loop systems. A loop is an assistive listening device
Okay.
that creates a magnetic loop with wire.
Okay.
And so they run a loop of wire. In this case, the loop of wire is here.
Okay.
And so any sound that feeds into that loop can be picked up by a hearing aid with a telecoil built into
right.
it.
Right. Okay.
So there's a microphone built into here, picks up the sound, and as long as you're within a certain distance, you can activate that telecoil in your hearing aid or cochlear implant,
Okay.
and you'll get a better sound feed than if you're just conversing across like a counter
Right.
or a tabletop.
Right. And people can install, let's say, in businesses and organizations, and I know we have one in our boardroom, and we have a loop in the ceiling.
Right.
So when we have meetings, people can just turn on their telecoil and their hearing aid, and the PA system goes right into the hearing aid.
Exactly.
So that's an excellent assistive technology to have in a meeting room.
Exactly. In some places, it's a mat on the floor.
Ah,
And again,
okay.
the loop
Interesting.
of wire is built into the mat.
Okay.
So these are something that can be helpful in that kind of situation.
Right. So these are personal loops that are portable, obviously.
Right.
Okay. Great.
There are also loops, what are called personal loops. This is a neck loop.
Okay.
This can be plugged into any sound device. So
Okay.
you can plug this into your computer to hear
Okay.
the sound better.
Okay.
You can plug this into a CD player, a radio, that kind of thing.
Okay. Interesting.
And again,
Yeah.
you activate your telecoils,
Right.
and that sound loop goes around.
Goes right in there. Again, simple but effective. Very simple. That's great.
They even make them now for cell phones.
Okay.
So this becomes your hands-free device on a cell phone.
Right.
You've got the loop, you activate your telecoil,
Right.
and your microphone is here.
Ah. Okay. Excellent.
If you don't have telecoils in your hearing aids,
Okay.
you could use a personal amplifier.
Right.
You've got a microphone here, you've got a headset. Actually, this can be a headset, it could be earbuds, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Right. Okay.
And then you put on the headset and you can turn up the volume on the folks that you're talking with. This also has a tone control on the side as well.
Okay. That's very important.
So again, volume and tone.
Right, right. And having the ability to put in earbuds, makes it look more contemporary, more modern, you know what I mean? So you could discreetly have that and have earbuds, and it's not quite as clunky looking, for lack of a better word, than having a set of headphones on.
Right. It's got a clip,
Okay.
or you can actually put a lanyard on it.
Oh,
Clip it to a lanyard and just have it hang around your neck.
right, right.
Because a lot of people have devices attached to them nowadays.
Yes.
So you could be listening to an iPod for all anybody else knows.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
What's cool about this too is it comes with an extension cord.
Okay.
So the microphone can pop off
Uh-huh.
and you can use the extension cord
Interesting.
to get the microphone closer to the sound source that you need.
Right, right. That's very interesting. So if you were in a small group meeting, you could even put that microphone in the middle of the table and then run it to your device there.
Exactly. Or
Right.
you can ask people
Or
to
you can
pass the mic
pass
around.
it around, yeah.
Great for riding in the car. Not
Uh-huh.
driving,
Right.
but riding.
Right.
And you can literally pass the microphone to the folks in the back seat so that you can hear them better.
That's great. And I would imagine these are more on the lower end of the cost spectrum, right?
Sometimes these are a little bit more affordable when folks are just starting to explore what their options are for
Right.
improving their hearing.
Okay. That's good to know.
Sometimes a personal amplifier isn't powerful enough. You've got a distance issue,
Right.
okay? What can help in that circumstance is what's called an FM system.
Ah, okay.
So what you would do, this is a microphone. No, I'm sorry, this one.
Okay.
My
They look
microphone.
identical.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
Here, let me fix that.
Okay, yeah. Right. So this is FM. Is that what it's FM system?
Right.
Okay.
This is an FM system.
Okay.
So it uses a radio signal.
Got it. Okay.
We give the transmitter with a microphone to the speaker,
Right.
and then you can sit anywhere in the room with the receiver
Right.
and adjust the volume.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So
Very good.
again,
Right.
it's bringing that sound directly to you.
Right.
It helps reduce that background noise and interference. So this is our video phone
Okay.
that we use here in the office. So deaf folks who use American Sign Language,
Right.
it's most comfortable to sign back and forth.
Right.
So using a high-speed internet connection and a computer with a web camera,
Okay.
we can talk with folks in ASL
Right.
instead of having to depend on the TTY
That's great.
or a relay service.
I would imagine this had a huge impact with for the deaf community as far as communications, long distance communications, communicating with each other.
Right. Yep. The high-speed internet has really impacted the deaf community with video phone technology. Because before they were dependent on texting, on TTY. Now they can see who they're talking to.
Right.
With the relay services, they can call hearing people, and it's a much smoother communication than the old-fashioned relay where it was type and wait, and type and wait.
Right.
So again, those changes that we've seen
Right.
over the years. So you can see it says it's ringing.
Okay.
So
Great.
you get to see her, you can see her signing.
Yes, yes, and that's so important because with ASL, expressions, facial expressions, body language, that is such an intimate part of the communication.
Right. It's actually a lot of the grammar is in the face.
Yes.
So being able to see the whole conversation is great.
That's great. I can see that this is a very powerful technology. Now also with mobile technology, right? I mean, there's been tremendous advances there, and there's apps now Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. There's a lot of apps now for the cell phone, for smartphones, for tablets and iPads.
Okay,
You can even have captioned cell phone calls now.
great.
So just like the captioned phone that we saw in the demo room,
Right,
you can get that on your cell phone as well.
okay.
And then there are also apps for the video phone, so that I can use my cell phone to make video calls.
Right.
And again, it's that nice, smooth communication.
That's excellent. Excellent. And also, just thinking about the video phone there's also the video relay service. So in other words, Andalib could use that to give me a call on my regular telephone number. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Exactly. The caption, or rather the relay service, hold on a sec. There we go. The relay service was set up to help folks who use this kind of technology
Right,
to communicate with folks who don't have it.
right.
So if Andalib wanted to call you on your regular phone,
Or if I wanted to call her.
both ways,
Right.
right, exactly. She could go through a relay service.
Okay,
And so there's an operator there that acts as the go-between.
okay,
So when you speak, the operator signs to the
Right.
deaf person,
right,
and then when they sign back, the operator voices to you.
right,
On the older relay systems, or on the ones like the TTY that we saw, which is still
Yes.
used,
right,
still in use, the person types and the operator voices what is typed.
I see.
And then
Okay.
when the person speaks back, the operator types back.
Okay,
And so
Interesting.
both of those relay services are still in use. And actually, there's also other specialized relays that are out there for folks, again, who have speech disabilities
okay,
but prefer to speak for themselves. There's speech-to-speech relay, where
okay.
they have a special operator who helps them by restating what is said
I see,
or clarifying what was said.
right.
So there's a lot of features out there, a lot of technologies out there that are really advantages for folks with hearing loss.
That's great. And the video relay service doesn't cost the person extra money. Is that
Correct.
Right.
With all the relay services, there's no charge
That's great.
to the person using the service.
Yes.
That is paid for by everybody who has a phone. If you look in that list of charges on your phone bill,
Right,
there's one called TRS,
okay,
Telecommunications Relay Service.
I see.
And I think it's like 60 cents a month.
I've seen it, it's very little, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody pays for it, so the folks who use it don't have to pay every time.
Well, I hope you found today's program very informative, and I would encourage you to visit our website, www.nvrc.org, for further information about what we talked about today, but also other programs that we offer for deaf and hard of hearing individuals, and also information that we believe is very informative for the hearing population as well. So thank you very much, and hope to see you again soon.